Hi, this is Rob from Access TV, and I've been playing DmC Devil May Cry, and this little video here is my tips for getting a SSS ranking in your combos. First tip is variation. One of the first mistakes you might make in Devil May Cry is to pick a favourite weapon, say Rebellion, Dante's sword, and just kind of get really good at it. And you can play the game like that, you can get through most of the fights, apart from the ones where you need to be using the angel or your demon weapons, but it's a bit boring, and Devil May Cry really does reward you if you mix up your weapons. So if you use Rebellion, say you hit an enemy into the air, then you juggle him in the air with Ebony and Ivory, then you leap up into the air, maybe use your scythe to do a bit of aerial combat damage, and then maybe you finish it off by using your Eric's gauntlets to stomp them into the ground. You're using various combos, and you're also using various weapons, and Devil May Cry likes that, so that is a great way to quickly get up to that S rank. Another neat thing you can use, this is my second tip, are your grapples. Now you've got two grapples, you've got your angel grapple on L2 and your demon grapple on R2, and these aren't just great platforming tools, they're also really useful in combat. The demon grapple will pull enemies towards you, so if you find yourself trying to keep your combo going and you're a bit far away from your enemies, a great thing to do is to grapple onto them and yank them in towards you. It's also really useful for bringing aerial enemies down to your level. And then you've got the angel whip, which opposite to the demon whip will propel you towards an enemy, so it's really good also for taking down large groups of aerial enemies. You can grapple up towards them instead of bringing them down towards you and kind of fight them in the air, which is also a really good advantage and leads neatly onto my third tip, which is get into the air as often as you can, because if you've got an enemy in the air, chances are they're pretty much defenseless. For instance, you can send an enemy into the air using the high time move on Rebellion, which is a simple sweep of the sword, get them up into the air. As soon as they're in the air, they can't do anything. You can juggle them to your heart's content as long as you can stay in the air. And there are a couple of ways, a couple of tips for staying in the air. One, of course, is to use your angel grapple and grapple between enemies that are in the air already. Secondly, there's the Osiris, which is the angelic scythe you get. It has a move called Rake, where you can haul enemies on the ground up into the air beside you. And as soon as you've got an enemy up in there, you can just juggle away and Dante will stay up there. Also, Devil Trigger has a bit of a different role in the reboot, whereas before it would give you loads of additional powers in the old games. In this game it's simply there, basically it increases your attack and defense power, but one of the neat thing it does, it suspends all enemies in the air for the duration of Devil Trigger. My fourth point is to really get to know which weapon to use in which situation, and there are some neat little moves you can use for each weapon that I find personally really helpful. And we've already mentioned a few of them. Rebellion, High Time is a great one to get enemies into the air. Another really good move to finish off enemies and to get loads of hits in is Stinger, which is a move which launches Dante across the screen towards an enemy, and then you can continue mashing triangle after that, and you can use the Trillion Stabs move, which gets the hits in, gets the combo hits in, and should get your score really high. Ebony and Ivory are the iconic pistols. They don't do a lot of damage, but they're a really good way to keep a combo going if you find yourself like away from a group of enemies and you can't do anything with your main weapons. Ebony and Ivory can keep the damage going, and they're also a really good way of juggling enemies as well if you can get them into the air. Arbiter, the demon axe. This is quite a slow weapon. It's ideal for smashing through armoured foes, and of course there are some enemies that only take damage from demonic weapons, so you need to know how best to use it. My favourite move with Arbiter is Tremor, which is like a massive smash that Dante does where he throws that weapon into the ground, and it creates like this massive shockwave that throws enemies into the air, does a massive amount of damage. And then Arbiter has a really nice finishing move as well. Whilst you're in the air, you can smash them down again, and that is a great way to, get through tough enemies' defenses. Osiris, which is the angelic scythe, it doesn't do as much damage as Arbiter, but it's a great weapon when you're being faced with large groups of maybe slightly weaker enemies. It's got some great sweeping attacks. And also, as we mentioned before, the Rake move is brilliant whilst you're in the air. The Eric's gauntlets are a faster demonic weapon than the Arbiter, do a hell of a lot of damage as well. My favourite move to use with the Eric's gauntlets is Stomp. And if you see here, I go from a C straight to an S just by using my Eric's. It's a fantastic way to end an aerial combo. Uppercut as well. If you can get uppercut timed well, you can really disrupt enemy combos with uppercut. My favourite weapon though in the entire game is Aquila, which is the angelic kind of shuriken style weapons. They're so fast, and against large groups of enemies they are amazing. Because they've got loads of massive sweeping attacks that can just absolutely shred through massive groups of enemies. But one of my favourite moves is Round Trip. This is really, really useful if you're facing two of these guys here. A great way to deal with it is to trap one of them inside the Round Trip and focus all your attention on the other enemy. And if you combine that with Tornado, which is a move where Dante just spins round and round really fast, you can do massive amounts of damage. And that leads on to my final tip, which is just keep the damage coming any way you can. Because if you stop attacking or there's like a lull in your combo score might break completely. It's going to go down. So mix up the weapons, get enemies in the air, keep the damage coming. If you can't do anything else, just shoot them with your ebony and ivory pistols. Keep juggling them. Remember, the angelic grapple is a great way to not only keep your combos going, but also get out of the line of fire. So you put all that together and yeah, you get something a little bit like this.